This is CTV News with Craig Krause.
If we're all struggling individually, then can we benefit together?
Tonight, Fragmented Forces, part 1 of our series on the future of policing in BC, looks at the feasibility of regionalized departments. Also tonight.
It's going to be a mammoth task to do this and to try to do it within weeks, not months.
Why restaurants are still feeling anxious despite the tentative end to the BC GEU strike. Plus, Adam finds out how a mom and her young son are making the most of a rainy day later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Thank you for joining us. The patchwork of policing in parts of BC has long been a subject of debate. So begins the first part of a series where we explore the future of policing in this province. CTV's Anna McMillan begins that exploration asking if regionalized policing is ever going to happen.
Esquimalt mayor knows all too well how the dialogue about regionalized policing has dragged for decades.
Don't give up. we have to keep trying.
Barb Desjardins wants to see a regional police force on southern Vancouver Island instead of the fragmented municipal departments in Victoria, Oak Bay, Saanich, and Central Saanich.
It's getting increasingly difficult for everybody to be recruiting. Cost of policing is really a challenge. If we're all struggling individually, then can we benefit together?
Desjardins says Esquimalt is paying too much for its agreement with Victoria Police. Both she and Vic PD's new chief think a different model could work better for everyone.
Vic PD supports the notion of regionalization. Of course, with all of these types of changes, the devil is in the detail.
Through the public safety minister, CTV News has learned there's reason to believe regionalization could become reality.
We've received a letter from the municipal leadership and have invited them in for a meeting.
Nina Krieger says that letter from the mayors of Victoria, Saanich, Esquimalt, and Oak Bay calls for an advancement in the amalgamation conversation when it comes to police services.
Matters related to governance, to who pays for what and how much are going to be the key questions.
Those in favor of the model say it could be a money saver and lead to more effective, cohesive policing.
You know, if you're looking for some sort of magic change by changing uniform and making police forces larger, the bulk of what the police do doesn't change. And the output measures that we look at typically don't change very much either.
That Carleton University professor has researched this. He says the potential positives can be undermined by administrative bloat and by shifting officers from patrol to specialized units, which are more common in larger departments.
Most calls for service is really mischief, public drunkenness, disorderly calls. That makes up the lion's share of police responses, and that can be handled by patrol officers wearing all sorts of different uniforms.
A consideration that could lead to even more conversation.
I am confident that at some point regionalization will occur. I would love to see it happen sooner than later, but I don't think that the current patchwork of policing, at least here on the island, is sustainable over the long term.
Tomorrow, we're looking at a different model, provincial policing. That's something a committee tasked with exploring police reform recommended 3 years ago. In the next installment of this series, we ask if it's ever going to happen. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Esquimalt.
The Premier is calling for quick movement from the federal government as it looks to pass a new bill on bail reform. Today in Victoria, his concerns regarding repeat offenders were echoed by the Minister of Justice.
Too often, we wake up to newspaper headlines that indicate yet again a violent offender has been released on bail only to have reoffended. Too often, we see cases make their way into the public discourse where it's hard to understand how a specific penalty has been issued given the severity of the crime that's being considered. The Bail and Sentencing Reform Act is going to make meaningful changes.
The bill will make it more difficult for repeat lawbreakers to be released while awaiting trial, with a specific focus on accused sexual offenders and those linked to extortion cases. If convicted, it also ensures tougher sentences on folks who have committed multiple violent crimes. And after 8 weeks of job action, BC's public service workers have reached a tentative deal with the province. The union says it comes after 8 days of mediation with renowned mediators Vince Reddy and Amanda Rogers. The deal, which has yet to be ratified, includes a general wage increase of 3% per year for 4 years. It also includes targeted wage adjustments for the lowest paid workers. Government-run cannabis and liquor stores, which have been closed for weeks due to the job action, will likely open early this week. However, those in the restaurant industry say it's going to be a long road ahead.
We expect there's going to be about 8,000 or 9,000 orders on the day that the operations resume. And that represents 700,000 or 800,000 cases. So it's going to be a mammoth task to do this and to try to do it within weeks, not months.
In the public service, it's certainly the longest strike in over 40 years. So a very significant event, certainly the most significant strike we've had in 40 years. But, you know, our members were committed to fight for fair wages and showed that.
Finance Minister Brenda Bailey says she is pleased by the development. The BC Professional Employees Association, however, still remains on strike. Well, after years of talk and government investments, the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority is abandoning ship on a grand plan. It says it will no longer move forward with a vision to provide onshore electricity to cruise ships at Victoria's Ogden Point terminal. CTV's Yvonne Raymond asks why.
The nonprofit in charge of Victoria's cruise ship terminal is pulling the plug on shore power, despite millions in government promises to help pay for it.
Unfortunately, as a result of really the escalation of costs, and as we learned more about the process of installing shore power at Ogden Point, which includes running power down from a 7.5 kilometer run from Topaz, and including a 2.5 kilometer trench that we would have to dig in through James Bay, it just wasn't a feasible project.
Even with a $9 million investment from the province and another $22.5 million from federal coffers, the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority says new research shows it's tens of millions of dollars short.
These are expensive projects, but they're going to add enormous benefits, you know, competitive benefits, health benefits. These investments are worth it. It's going to cost more than doing nothing, that's for sure.
GVHA's board promises it's not walking away entirely. The chair says the team is committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions at the terminal.
We're exploring now new technologies like microgrid technology and electrifying the port.
A nonprofit advocating for ways to mitigate emissions coming into the James Bay neighborhood has long doubted the plan.
We never thought it was a viable solution for Ogden Point because of the short calls. We do think that there's a very viable solution that can be implemented immediately at no cost to taxpayers, and that is for ships to be required by the government to burn low sulfur fuel while they're in Victoria Harbour and docked at Ogden Point.
Fair sailing is hoping to be wrapped into the conversation as the Harbour Authority looks to anchor Plan B.
I'm looking forward to what we might be able to consider in the future that might be more economical.
GVHA has spent some of the provincial funding to explore shore power. The two sides are negotiating how much of it can be kept, and the federal money was never used. Yvonne Raymond, CTV News, Victoria.
Food Banks Canada has released its annual hunger count, showing that food insecurity is growing for Canadians. Every year, food banks across the country and here on Vancouver Island are setting new records, and this year is no different. The month of March saw nearly 2.2 million Canadians visiting a food bank, doubling the number of monthly visits recorded in 2019, setting a new record. The report found that nearly 1 in 5 food bank clients are employed, compared to just 1 in 10 in 2019. Also, 1/3 of food bank clients are children, and nearly 1 in 4 households that rely on food banks are 2-parent families. Here in the Capital Region, the Mustard Seed Food Bank says it is seeing numbers that are actually worse than the ones stated in this recent report.
The cost of living here is slightly higher than a lot of places, so we are continuing to see a really strong increase across all demographics. What we see day over day and year over year is that food bank users are regular people. They're your neighbors, they're your friends, they're living in housing, they're working at jobs, and they're just trying to make ends meet and they can't for whatever reason.
In a release today, Food Banks Canada warned that poverty and hunger is being normalized across the country as the need continues to grow. A bizarre incident unfolded at the Cowichan District Hospital over the weekend. A vehicle crashed through the ER entrance. The driver then allegedly assaulted a paramedic. The doors were smashed Saturday night at around 7:30. The RCMP say 2 paramedics at the hospital went to check on the driver right after the crash. Police say that's when the 42-year-old woman behind the wheel allegedly assaulted one of them. Hospital staff subdued the driver, who was then arrested under the Mental Health Act. No one was injured in this incident, and Island Health tells CTV News it has determined there was no structural damage caused to the building. The ER remains open and temporary doors have been installed, and patient access is not affected. Mounties are trying to determine the cause of the incident and the moments leading up to all of this. Anyone with video or information is asked to contact North Cowichan Duncan RCMP. An overdose advisory has been placed on multiple municipalities within the capital region. Officials at Island Health issued the alert on Friday, citing an increase in drug poisonings throughout Greater Victoria and Souk. The advisory recommends frequent substance checks and that users within the community take a lower dose than usual while being supervised by a naloxone-carrying friend. More information on harm reduction services can be found online at islandhealth.ca. Well, still to come, new pool plans.
We've secured a plan to provide pool access to the community when the facility closes its doors.
The City of Victoria announces new details to keep swimmers swimming as Crystal Pool undergoes a years-long renovation.
Well, not a bad day today. We get to 12 degrees for a daytime high around lunchtime, currently sitting at 9, and relatively light wind. That's going to change in a big way tomorrow. Wind warnings in effect for parts of the island and more rain. Those details after the break.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
West Shore Youth, looking for a fun spot to hang out? Youth nights are here. Skating, art, swims, and a place to chill. Staff-led and supervised for a safe, inclusive vibe. Check out wspr.ca for more info.
Welcome back. Josh now joins us live. Josh, there's a chill in the air. What can Islanders expect over the next couple days here?
You want some really strong wind for coastal sections, 70 to 110 kilometer per hour wind gusts for the areas under wind warnings. We'll show you those wind warnings in a second. You get 10s and 11s across most of the island right now, and the wind for the time being relatively light. It's picked up a little bit in the last little while here. Out of the southeast, around 20 kilometers per hour in Victoria. Now, Victoria, you'll notice up through Nanaimo, not included. But all these areas in blue have the potential to see gusts starting tomorrow morning, it looks like, in through northern parts of the island, and then later in the day for areas further off to the south and to the east. And it's all thanks to that big system right there, which will not only kick in some really strong wind gusts, but it's also going to bring some rain. So there's the rain tomorrow morning from around Tofino north towards Port Hardy. Kind of first wave washes through, and then late in the day, a second front drops in from north to south. And that's where we could see, for some inland areas, some significant rainfall accumulation late in the day tomorrow. Here comes another one for early Wednesday morning, and it looks like by Wednesday afternoon that should be out of here, and we'll get a bit of a break for a little while before the rain returns towards the end of the week. 20 to 40 millimeters in and around Port Hardy. Other parts of the north could see maybe 50 or 60 millimeters of rain. Gusts in Port Hardy to about 70 or 80 kilometers per hour tomorrow afternoon, but some of the islands are going to see wind gusts up over 100 kilometers per hour. 12 degrees Wednesday and about 11 and 10 for highs Thursday, Friday. A little windy as well for inland sections. Gusts should be about 30 or 40 kilometers per hour, about 15 to 30 millimeters of rain tomorrow. A break for Wednesday. There is some more rain coming on Friday, though, and after a cool one tomorrow, a little bit of a warm-up for Wednesday, Thursday. Out on the west coast, from Tofino north, you're looking at about 50 to 70 millimeters of rain. South of Tofino, you're looking at about 30 to 60 millimeters worth of rain, 12 degrees tomorrow, and gusty wind. Again, most areas are going to see wind gusts in the 70 to 90 kilometer per hour range, but some spots could get gusts up over 100 kilometers per hour. More heavy rain on the way by the end of the week, by the way. Parts of the west coast could see close to 200 millimeters of rain by the end of the week. In Comox, about 10 to 20 millimeters and gusty tomorrow. Gusts to about 70 to 90 kilometers per hour. Nanaimo, lesser rainfall, and the wind won't be as strong. Gusts to about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. 9 degrees tomorrow, but back to 13 with some sunny breaks on Wednesday. And in Victoria, 6 degrees tomorrow morning, 11 in the afternoon. 40 gusting to about 60 kilometers per hour, and somewhere 5 to 10 millimeters worth of rain by the end of tomorrow. Sun comes back out for Wednesday, and then rain in the forecast for Friday and Saturday. This could actually be fairly steady rain to close out the week on Halloween. CTV Weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So a little bit of a midweek break from the rain, but there is more wet stuff on the way over the rest of this week, Craig.
And it looks like Halloween, you might want to bring that the rain jacket with you.
Plan an umbrella into your costume.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Moving forward here, swimmers on the South Island received some reprieve this morning thanks to a partnership announcement between the City of Victoria and the YMCA. As Crystal Pool prepares to undergo a multi-year construction project, the City of Victoria will be rerouting potential pool users to the YMCA's downtown aquatic facility. With the YMCA moving their operations to the Bay Centre in early 2026, the city announced its plans for staff and faculty at Crystal Pool to resume operations out of the recreation site at 851 Broughton Street.
Well, it has a 25-meter pool and then a small swim lesson pool in there, so it'll allow us to continue offering our swim clubs as well as swim lessons and aquafit to the community. And in addition to that, we'll have the opportunity to relocate our core dryland recreation services, so gymnasium, as well as all of our other yoga and fitness classes that the community relies on.
Over the next several months, the city says it will be making key upgrades and repairs to the site so operations can continue throughout the 5-year construction period. Community updates on the city's pool move are expected in January. Well, if you're looking for something different this week leading up to Halloween night, a popular downtown Victoria attraction has a spooky art exhibit just for you. Monkey See Arcade is an interactive art gallery filled with a collection of artifacts gathered throughout the city, representing the capital region's past. Those artifacts are then transformed into displays that you can touch, play with, and in some cases, make your own music with. This season, the unique gallery is introducing what it calls the Cult of Cute Catastrophes, which involves new rooms, new machines, all turned into a somewhat creepy display to get you into the Halloween spirit.
It explores a weird, twisted childhood with, mutant stuffies and strange, weird mutant Barbie dolls. And we've also got a alien incubator that's made of old radios, actually, from CFAX, and an old church organ that we've modified into a really intense, crazy musical playing machine that is a lot of fun.
The gallery's Halloween hours are Wednesday to Sunday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and admission says the owner is $15 per human over the age of 3. It looks like there's more turmoil brewing for the leader of the BC Conservatives. A new poll suggests nearly half of voters who threw their support behind John Rustad in the last election now want him out. The Angus Reid poll suggests 48% of people who voted for the Conservatives in 2024 would now tell Rustad to resign. But when it comes to current voters, only 2 in 5 want Rustad gone. The spotlight has been on Rustad recently, with 5 MLAs leaving his party since the election. But Premier David Eby isn't escaping criticism either. 53% say BC is on the wrong track, while 56% say they are dissatisfied with his government's performance. Overall, the polling suggests the Conservatives have a slim 1-point lead over the NDP. Well, coming up, the potential of a puddle. Adam meets a 4-year-old, discovers something's priceless while searching for treasure in a puddle. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Finally, Adam finds out how a mom and her young son are making the most of a rainy day on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
There's golden rocks?
Well, some may say you have to travel to the end of a rainbow to find a pot of gold.
Swim in that puddle.
Evan Forrester was simply standing on the edge of the sidewalk when he discovered this treasure.
The golden rock.
And when you possess that kind of power,
I'm gonna bring it home and keep it as a treasure.
and you have a mom
Look at that.
that's encouraging,
Great job.
the positive possibilities of this rainy day, Sasha Sauve says, are limitless.
You know, focus on the little things that are so easy to pass by when we're busy in our lives.
So, Everin could keep hunting for treasure,
Like gems, shiny rocks.
or he could experience the puddles in a different way.
Yeah, but like there was a lot of more last time.
A lot of more what? Tell me.
Crazy puddles.
And what, you may wonder, is a crazy puddle? Well, wasn't that, and isn't this.
What makes a puddle crazy?
Like if like you touch them, they'll just bounce up.
If your boots touch them just right,
1, 2, 3.
it feels like the water will bounce back up to the clouds. And laughter will bounce right out of your belly.
Yeah.
Apparently, you don't need to wait for a rainbow to start searching for treasure. Everin proves that even on the dullest of days, you can make golden moments together. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
Oh, that laugh is great. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at CTV News Vancouver Island. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.